Imagine you are on a long flight, thousands of feet in the air. You have zero Wi-Fi connection, beat. Yet, your iPhone is flawlessly summarizing a highly confidential contract.
Yeah, completely offline. It really does feel a little bit like magic when you first see it happen.
Welcome to this deep dive. I am so glad you are here with us today. Our mission is beautifully specific.
Right. We are basically moving the cloud right into your pocket.
Exactly. We are exploring how to turn your everyday iPhone into a highly secure, completely offline AI powerhouse.
And you do this using a free app called Locally AI.
We always hear that AI requires massive data centers, giant warehouses of servers humming away. They consume insane amounts of power.
Yeah, that is the standard narrative.
But what if that narrative is fundamentally flawed? Let us rethink the privacy paradigm shift.
This is where the underlying mechanics get really fascinating. Think about how most AI operates today. It usually asks you to log in with Google or Apple. You instantly create a digital footprint. You are linked to your real name. Online apps process your prompts on servers you cannot see. And, they often log that data to train future models.
It creates a tremendous amount of anxiety for people. You worry about feeding sensitive information into a corporate server.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like a corporate strategy or, personal journaling. You just do not know who has access to it.
Right. And that is precisely why cutting the cord is so revolutionary. An offline AI app fundamentally changes the physics of data privacy.
Because there is no connection.
Exactly. Locally, AI requires zero login. No name, no email address, no phone number.
Wow.
Because the app does not need to communicate with the server. It simply does not ask for your credentials.
Every single calculation stays trapped inside your iPhone. No data goes out. It physically cuts off the data supplied to big tech companies.
Right, and that happens because all the processing runs locally. It relies entirely on the Apple Silicon chip inside your device.
It acts just like a super smart calculator.
Exactly. When you delete a chat, the memory is wiped permanently. There is no backup server holding on to your deleted questions.
Using a cloud AI is sort of like speaking your thoughts through a public megaphone. You hope people are not recording it.
But they could be.
Right. Offline AI is like working inside a locked, soundproof vault. Beat. Does going offline actually stop big tech from tracking this specific data entirely?
Absolutely. If your phone antennas are not transmitting to a server, the physical pathways for that data simply do not exist. There are no hidden trackers phoning home.
So zero internet means absolutely zero data harvesting. Period.
That is the beauty of it.
Which brings up a really profound mechanical problem. If the data is not leaving the phone, the entire brain has to live inside the device.
Yeah, it sounds impossible at first.
How on earth do we fit a massive AI into a piece of glass and metal? Let us look at sizing the brain in the setup.
We have to understand how we actually measure the size of an AI. We categorize these models by number ending with a capital B.
And the B stands for billion parameters.
Right. Parameters are the digital brain cells making up the AI.
More parameters mean the AI has a denser web of knowledge. It is generally smarter, but it requires a significantly larger workspace to function.
Yeah, and in a phone, that workspace is your RAM. It is your phone's short-term memory. You have to match the AI brain size to the physical RAM inside your specific hardware.
So for older iPhones, you use the smaller model.
Exactly. You use 0.8 B models like small M. They are very lightweight and run incredibly fast.
Then you step up to the 2 billion parameter models.
The 2B models, like Quinn 2.5, are really the current sweet spot.
Right.
They are smart enough to handle about 80% of daily tasks, but they stay stable without crashing your phone.
But what if I have one of the newest devices? Can I push it further?
You can. The 4B to 8B models like Llama 3 or 3.2 are massive. Those are really only viable on the iPhone 15 Pro or the 16. Those newer phones finally have enough internal RAM to hold those heavier brains open.
It is a lot of data.
It is. Bet. Whoa. Imagine fitting 2 billion parameters right in your pocket. You literally carry a localized brain in your jeans.
It is genuinely a marvel of modern engineering. 2-sec silence. So if I'm holding my phone right now trying to actually make this happen, what is the physical bridge between reading about this and actually running it?
It takes maybe 3 minutes. First, grab your iPhone and connect to a strong Wi-Fi signal. You only need the internet this one time for the initial download.
Right.
You search for Locally AI in the App Store. It is an Apple-checked app, completely clean, zero ads.
Once you open it, I assume you have to choose which brain to install.
Right. You will see a list of different models. You tap the Clyde icon next to your chosen brain.
And how big is that file?
It downloads a file that is roughly 1 to 2 gigabytes. You will want to keep about 5 gigabytes free on your phone overall, just to be safe.
And it is probably best not to switch to other apps during this download. Let the file system do its job.
Exactly. Once it finishes, the fun begins. You turn off your Wi-Fi entirely, switch your phone into airplane mode, then just type hello in the chat box. If it answers you right away, congratulations, you have a working, totally offline AI.
That is amazing.
Yeah, and advanced users can even sideload custom.gguf files. gguf is a file format for running compressed AI locally. You pull those from sites like Hugging Face.
Why shouldn't I just force an 8 billion parameter model onto my base iPhone to get the smartest answers?
Because the RAM bottleneck will choke the system entirely. The AI will take a painfully long time to process the math.
Right.
Your phone will violently overheat, and the app will inevitably crash.
Got it. A brain too big just causes lag, overheating, and massive frustration.
You have to respect the hardware limits.
Now that we have a smaller, highly compressed brain installed, the interaction changes.
It really does.
We have to talk to it differently than we do with massive cloud servers. Let us explore the fine art of offline prompting.
This is where people usually stumble. You cannot treat a 2B model like the giant online versions.
Right.
Because the localized brain is smaller, it lacks the vast contextual safety nets of a massive server. You have to be exceptionally clear.
You have to guide it. Think of the offline AI as a brilliant but easily distracted assistant.
That is a great way to frame it. You cannot just type, write an email to my boss. You have to explain who you are, what the tone should be, and exactly what the email must achieve. Smaller brains need incredibly strict boundaries, otherwise they start making things up.
I still wrestle with getting the prompts right myself, even on the massive cloud models. It is a delicate balancing act.
Oh, we all do.
You want to give enough detail without overcomplicating it.
It is a learned skill. The source material offers a brilliant template specifically for these smaller offline models.
All right.
First, you assign the AI a highly specific role. You tell it, act as a professional tutor with 20 years of experience.
By assigning a role, you are narrowing down the neural pathways it needs to search.
Right, it filters out the noise. Next, you state exactly what you want to learn. Then, and this is crucial, you heavily limit the length of the response.
So you keep it brief.
Yes. You might say, explain the main idea in 3 very simple sentences.
You can also ask for 3 interesting facts that most people do not know, just to keep it engaging.
Making it interactive is the final piece of the puzzle. Ask it to generate a short quiz with 2 questions.
That's smart.
This format works beautifully. It tells the AI exactly who to be, prevents it from rambling, and forces an interactive dialogue.
Why are these strict boundaries so much more critical for a 2B model?
Because a 2 billion parameter model simply does not have the processing power to filter out irrelevant context on its own. If you leave a prompt open-ended, it loses the thread and wanders completely off track.
Constraints keep the smaller AI focused so it doesn't ramble or get confused. Sponsor. We've mastered the text prompts, but what if this localized brain could actually see and hear its surroundings?
Now we're getting into the really futuristic stuff.
And what happens when we inevitably push its smaller capacity just a bit too far? Let us discuss senses, silly mistakes, and hallucinations.
Adding senses is arguably the most thrilling part of locally AI. It is not just a simple text box.
Right.
If you choose to download one of the specific vision models, your app can suddenly understand photographs.
Imagine you are walking down a street in Tokyo. You see a menu or transit sign in a foreign language.
Yeah, and you have 0 international cell service. You just take a photo through the app and ask, what does this sign say?
Wow.
It processes the pixels, translates the text, and gives you the answer instantly. It does not use a single drop of cellular data.
You can take a photo of scattered computer parts to get build advice. You can snap a picture of the ingredients inside your fridge to get instant recipe ideas.
Or take a photo of a computer monitor to find mistakes in your code. It is wildly versatile.
And for voice interaction, it is just as seamless.
Exactly. You hold the microphone icon and speak your prompt. You just have to download a tiny voice processing file beforehand.
Talking to an AI assistant in the middle of a remote, off-the-grid forest is quite a surreal experience. Beat. However, we must ground this in reality. It is not infallible.
No, it definitely is not. Sometimes it fails spectacularly. In the tech world, we call this a hallucination.
Right.
Hallucinations happen when the AI confidently invents facts it simply does not know.
Because the AI is designed to predict the next logical word, it guesses when it lacks the actual factual anchor.
Remember, this AI was heavily compressed to fit inside a phone. It is like a scholar who read thousands of books but completely lost the index.
That is a great analogy.
It remembers the general concepts, but it forgets which page a specific fact was printed on.
It frequently fails at hard math. It struggles with highly specific historical dates. And it obviously cannot tell you today's news because it has no internet connection to check.
There is a famous benchmark test right now. You ask the AI how many letters R are in the word strawberry.
Oh, I have seen this.
The offline models will sometimes confidently look you in the digital eye and say there are only 2.
It struggles with spelling because AI processes text in chunks. Tokens are just the small text chunks an AI processes. It does not see individual letters.
Exactly.
Eat. This is why we must treat it as a helpful assistant, not a perfect guide. If it's guessing facts, is it really safe to use for learning?
It is perfectly safe if you understand the limitations. You use it for creative work, summarizing long documents, or brainstorming broad concepts.
Right.
But you must actively double-check important facts, like precise historical dates or specific medical claims.
Use it for concepts and creativity, but double-check hard facts and dates.
Exactly. Trust but verify. Always.
Making a phone think this hard, visually and verbally, has intense physical consequences on the hardware.
It really pushes the limits.
Let us examine the real-world physics of running offline AI. We need to explore battery life, heat generation, and RAM management.
Running an AI model locally is arguably the most demanding task you can ask a phone to do. It is functionally similar to playing a massive, heavy graphical game like Genshin Impact. The internal Apple chip has to perform billions of matrix multiplication operations every single second.
It is pulling 5 to 10 times more power than casually browsing a website.
Which means your phone is going to get hot.
Yeah.
That thermal output is entirely normal, especially if you were running a larger 4B or 8B model.
Right.
But we have to actively manage the phone's memory to keep it stable. RAM is the short-term memory your phone uses to juggle active tasks.
If the desk is cluttered, the AI has no room to work.
Right. An offline AI app absolutely needs space to breathe. Before you start, you must close other heavy apps. If you have 50 browser tabs open and a video game suspended in the background, the AI will simply not have enough RAM to load its parameters.
Clearing out that background clutter makes the AI respond significantly faster. You also have to manage the AI's own memory. You need to clear out your old AI chats.
Yes, the context window takes up RAM. Context window is everything you have typed in one conversation. When the AI has to remember too much chat history, it slows to an absolute crawl. The best practice is to start a brand new chat whenever you switch to a totally new topic.
We also need to protect the physical battery health. You really should not use the AI heavily while the phone is actively plugged into a charger.
Charging a battery generates heat. Processing AI generates heat. Combining them makes the phone dangerously hot.
Yeah.
You should also try to keep your battery level above 20%. iOS will automatically throttle performance to save power if your battery gets too low, making the AI sluggish.
It is like asking someone to run a marathon while wearing a thick winter coat. You need to take off heavy phone cases so the internal processor can actually breathe.
Right, and just like that winter coat, a thick rubber case traps the thermal energy right against the glass. The phone cannot shed the heat.
Can something as simple as a phone case actually slow down the AI's answers?
Absolutely. Apple Silicon chips have strict thermal limits to prevent permanent hardware damage. If the heat cannot escape, the chip deliberately throttles its speed. It mathematically slows itself down to cool off.
Yes, trapped heat forces the Apple chip to throttle and slow everything down.
You have to let the hardware dissipate that energy.
Given these strict hardware limits, the battery drain, and the occasional hallucinations, when should we actually use this? How does it stack up against massive online models? Let us look at the big comparison between offline AI and cloud AI.
This is the question people wrestle with constantly. The truth is, neither one is objectively superior in a vacuum.
Right.
One is just more appropriate for your specific environment at that exact moment.
ChatGPT is like a giant comprehensive library downtown. Locally, AI is like a private, smart notebook that you keep in your jacket pocket.
Exactly. If you are at a desk and you need perfect coding accuracy, complex logical reasoning, and live news updates, the giant library wins easily.
Yeah.
But ChatGPT requires a constant data connection, and the advanced versions cost money every single month.
Technically secure privacy and is completely free to use.
It shines in totally different scenarios. I love using it to practice speaking foreign languages.
Oh, that is a great use case.
You can prompt the offline AI to act like a native speaker from Madrid.
You can have a fluid spoken conversation in Spanish while walking through a remote state park. You are practicing a complex new skill without pinging a single cell tower.
It gives you high-quality learning completely off the grid. It removes the latency of waiting for a server to respond. It just makes daily life much more interesting.
I think the most rational approach is a hybrid workflow. You sit at your desk with a strong Wi-Fi connection and use cloud AI for heavy, complex analytical lifting.
Right.
Then you use the offline AI out in the real world for brainstorming, quick translations, and absolute privacy.
Beat. So the goal isn't to replace cloud AI entirely.
Not at all. It is about expanding your personal toolkit. You choose the massive server for raw computational power, and you choose the local chip for privacy and portability.
Exactly. It's a specialized tool for absolute privacy and off-the-grid access.
That is the perfect way to look at it. This brings us to our big idea recap. We have explored a truly profound shift in how we interact with computational intelligence. We are empowering our personal devices to think locally and independently.
We are actively taking back control of our own personal data. We are achieving a new kind of digital freedom where you do not have to sacrifice technological utility to maintain your privacy.
You no longer have to depend on distant, opaque server farms to process your thoughts. You can carry a highly capable mind right inside your pocket, completely severed from the surveillance economy.
And by doing that, you cut off the constant data harvesting that fuels big tech companies. You become a user again rather than a product.
It leaves us with a fascinating, almost unsettling question to consider. 2-sec silence. If our pocket devices can now hold highly capable, private AI brains that don't need the webber, how will this change our fundamental relationship with the internet in 5 years? Will going offline become the ultimate luxury?
That is a truly profound thought to end on. It changes everything about how we value connection.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. I highly encourage you to download the app and test the airplane mode trick yourself. Try talking to it on your next commute or your next walk in the park. Stay curious, protect your privacy, and we will see you next time. OTTRO Music.